Hello everybody and welcome to my new series, Looking Forward. I had a thought, tweeted it out, and the responses were so overwhelming that I had to do it. Hopefully we'll see improvements as the weeks continue in production levels and others. As always, please leave comments below with suggestions or ideas you'd like to see. As for the overall, each week I plan to go over a match for each region. I understand not everyone can spend 6 hours watching every match on the weekend, but if you have to tune into just one, this is going to be the one. Give you guys insight about the match, why it's important, the playoff implications coming forward, and all the other details. Also, RLCS Fantasy has been yet another huge hit. Even with the addition of weekly transfer, it's getting even more intense. Some may not be aware of this or even how to do it, and we'll go over players to pick up, to drop, and how to get the most bang for your points based upon the cost of each player. You also get to see how I manage my team and how poorly it's doing because I too forgot how to transfer players last week, and I'm really missing out on those points from Bluey. It hurts a little bit. But let's get right into it. Week 3 of NA League play starts off Saturday. There's a bunch of important matches, but there's none more hope than crowd favorites Cloud9 versus G2 Esports. Currently, Cloud9 is on a 3-0 this season and has showed their integrity. Not everyone is playing up to par, but despite that, they're still able to scrape up wins. In Week 1, Torment had only 12.5% shooting accuracy, but immediately had 2 gorgeous shots in Week 2 at the start of the day to kick things off. Gimmick has actually been my NA MVP and isn't talked about as much because he's overshadowed by Squishy, but he also looks like he could be the Rookie Player of the Year. He undoubtedly is playing out of his mind, and it's been fantastic to watch. Squishy has been a bit lackluster, but it goes to show how good and how talented this lineup can be because each player is able to step up and make it so they still win. This win will actually pretty much guarantee them a spot into Season 5 of RLCS, as well as top 2 potential. G2 has only played 1 game so far this season, which they won convincingly over Renegades, and a lot of that had to do because of Dapper's lackluster performance. He didn't score a single goal. We still haven't really had time to see if the same issues from the past 4 months, or past 3 months roughly, from G2 with their inconsistency and what real roster we're going to see show up. Is it going to be the one that has passes and shots that you can't predict, or is it going to be the one that breaks rotations and everybody falls apart and lets in free goals? We don't know. But that's part of the reason why you should watch. This is going to be the first real test for this G2 squad because it's only been their 2nd game. And as for Cloud9 that's been shaky, are they still going to be able to handle wins against a high-powered offense when Kronovi enables his 2 offensive players in JNaps, who is probably the best player in North America, although Gimmick is starting to give him that run for it, as well as Rizzo, who, when you allow him to have space and do things, he plays out of his mind as well. This game could simply throw the entire standings in array and actually make it a ton like EU. So, should be exciting. Definitely recommend watching. Now, if you take a look at the standings, there is another game that you want to be aware of. The first game of the day is going to be between Allegiance and Renegades. Both have not clinched a win yet, and this actually is huge for playoff implications later on. This could come down to when there's teams like FlyQuest that are also in that same spot, that tiebreakers are going to favor whoever wins this match to get into that 6th place spot, so make sure you pay attention to this match as well. For Week 3 of League Play in Europe, there's one match I look forward to every season, and it's when Pashy and Flipside fight each other and always give us an exciting match. There's something about these 2 teams and their rivalry that makes it always exciting. Flipside showed that the practice at the Faceit offices, and thanks to Mystic for his tweet, allowing us to see the insight and Marky's gorgeous reactions as always. Marky, you're nuts. Against these 2 teams, but the exciting thing about it is how they always manage to make us go to an exciting Game 5 somehow. Usually it tips one way or the other with a defensive style, and now with the addition of Mystic and all this other kind of stuff, it's really exciting to see how these 2 teams are going to play out, especially with Flipside showing that they can go to Game 5 against Method, a team that's looking unstoppable, and completely dominate 3-1 over Envious, the previous world champs. Even though they don't have Turbo, it's still a strong roster that seems to be having troubles finding their footing. Originally, I thought this could have been the first year we don't see Flipside at LAN, but they always manage to find a way, and that's what makes it so exciting. As for Mocket, they've also only played 1 match so far this season, and we really haven't seen much from them. Their off-season, they had a series where they could best like Gale Force 3-1, but then they also lose to teams in convincing fashion that they shouldn't even think twice about. The only time we've really seen them so far in this season was Week 1 when they played Frontline, a team that everybody's kind of paying attention to because Bluey's freaking nuts. The match went the distance, and it shows that you can never count out the roster of Pashy puts together, especially with the defensive mentality they always have. Fairy Peak isn't having the jitters like he had last season. He's coming out to play already, and Freaky is showing to be a great addition with his offensive prowess. So it's the third match of the day. You definitely don't want to miss it. All right, last but not least, and on to fantasy. If you guys don't know where to find fantasy, links will be in the description. But there's two things I always go. Number one, I try to have my roster up in full as well as the schedule in full so I can see what matches are upcoming. Big things I want to cross-examine are, number one, which one of my players or players has a bye that week, and if I need to plan for the next couple of weeks because I can only transfer one player at a week. And number two, if they have a single match. The reason why I look for a single match or a team that only has one match to play is because points are averaged. So if I can find a game where there's a very high seed like Energy or Cloud9 against a very low seed against someone like Allegiance, I'm most likely going to be okay with just allowing them because they should rack up a lot of points in that one game that I don't need them to average it out in case they have a poor performance. Obviously, there is negatives that can happen with that, and you need to be careful of that, but I'm willing to take that risk. Now, looking forward, and the only things I can prepare for. Number one, I noticed that Garrett G for Energy does not have any matches for North America, as well as Turbo Pulsa for Gale Force does not have any matches for Europe. So either way, one of those is going to have to sit on the bench because I do only have one transfer per week. In this case, I am probably going to swap out Turbo because that gives me more money to work with based upon players that I have in my list. Now, a cool tool that you can use in order to figure out what players you want to go with is at the very top of your board. There's a player leaderboard that allows you to pull up a master list depending on the average points of all the players and who, based upon their scores throughout each week, is at the top. It's part of the reason why Gimmick, Magnus, players like Garrett G are very popular picks for a lot of people. But for me, the pick that I'm probably going to go with is going to be JNaps. He is a lot lower on the list only because he's only played one game for 1 week so far, and he's got 2 big matchups against FlyQuest and Cloud9. Even in tough matchups, JNaps has always been a crucial component of G2 and has been their star player for a very long time. In order to add JNaps, what you need to do is on your left-hand side of players, because you only have one weekly transfer, scroll down to where you can find them, hit the plus button. It's going to bring up a secondary menu where it has all the players that you want to swap for. I'm going to take out Turbo just because it frees up more money the next week, just in case. Hit transfer, and then it'll automatically do it. It does do this automatically for you, but it is just good habit to get into. Make sure you swap your player to the bench. The system by default, if you have a player that does not play and you have one that does play that week on the bench, they will swap, but never trust the system. Make sure you do it on your own. Make sure you get that swap going. As well, they did add a feature to where if you do make a mistake on the permanent trade, you can revert the transfer before rosters lock at the end of the week. So make sure if you do make a mistake, fix it, pick which player you're looking for, and all that other kind of stuff. Last but not least, thank you to you guys for watching and paying attention to this. If it wasn't for you guys' feedback, this wouldn't exist in the first place. So next week, it is going to be much shorter. It's going to be just straightforward opinion, thoughts, and reasons why. There's going to be no tutorial stuff, so expect these to be much shorter. So thank you again for the first one and you guys sticking through it to the end. For any questions, comments, whatever, please leave them below. Any suggestions on how to make this better. This is going to be completely changed and edited based upon your guys' feedback, as it is for you guys all together. So once again, thank you, and until next week, I am out. Peace.